140 years ago, rugby union was a game of kick and rush, played on the public school playing fields of England. Meanwhile, in Pontypridd, James, son of Evan James, was one day strolling up Mill Street on his way to the Rhondda Road, humming a tune to himself. So he went home and he said to his father, Evan, better known as Eynon ap Iago, he said, "Father, I have a tune in my head." And the dad said, "Son, go fetch your harp and let's make music." Dad did the words, son did the tune, and the next thing you know, Wales has got an anthem. So, while the English public school boys were knocking lumps out of each other at the new game of rugger, Pontypridd was a town of harps, music, song, the house of the angels. Pontypridd, 140 years on, Sardis Road, the house of the angels. Welcome to the house of pain.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Sardis Road in Pontypridd, where mercifully conditions are vastly more improved than they were at Treorchy last Sunday. The crowds are coming in here. It's going to be a jam-packed Sardis Road, and a crowd of around about 9 or 10,000 expected for this top-of-the-table clash between Pontypridd and Swansea. Conditions just about perfect. A very good afternoon to you from Eddie and myself.
Afternoon.
It's House of Pain.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
a great place, isn't it? It's become one of the little theatres of Welsh sport, and long may it go on. Pontypridd have been good for the game, haven't they?
They have. Well, we've got a couple of guests here who know exactly what the House of Pain is. Richard Webster of Bath and Arwyl Thomas of Swansea. Richard, I suppose the last game you played was round about here, wasn't it, when you came with Bath? What is this House of Pain that they refer to?
I think it goes back to a long way back, even when I was playing back with Swansea 4 or 5 years ago. It is a difficult place to come to. They do have this reputation of inflicting pain. I think a few of our players are still nursing wounds from Bath. That they took a couple of knocks up here.
A couple of big tackles that went in. We remember.
It's their attitude of mind. Once you get them out there, they all change.
Yeah. Well, Arwyl, you're not going to be in this House of Pain because the one knee is slightly bigger than the other. What's the injury latest on that?
Well, it's just a bit of ligament problem there, and hopefully it'll be all right now for a couple of weeks. But we've been told to rest it really, and the pain was inflicted on me last week, so I'm missing out this week.
But is the reputation amongst the clubs, Arwyl, that this is where angels fear to tread? Is it Sardis Road?
Well, they've got such a good record up, the last couple of years. They haven't lost for quite a while, and all clubs come up here fearing the Ponty sort of pack, and with Neil about as well with this kicking, and they've got two strong centres. It's a difficult place to come and win.
Yeah.
It's been a long time, isn't it? They haven't lost at home this season?
No, they haven't lost to a club side here since the autumn of '94 when Cardiff came here. Nigel Walker scored in that far corner. The Springboks won here in November '94, but other than that, Bath came here with all the stars. So what do they do? What did Pontypridd do here, Richard, that is so good?
That day of Bath game, they asked me to speak to the team, and I said, they asked me to tell them what they were to expect, and I said, it's not 8 forwards against 8 forwards and 7 backs against 7 backs. It's 15 nutters against us, and to expect it. And on the day I was right, because they were 15 committed nutters, and
Plus the atmosphere.
plus I didn't think they were going to expect what they got from the crowd, because the crowd is pretty intimidating when they were here.
Yeah.
When they start them forward, 2 silver, then Ponty. Ponty so.
That gets. I mean, your ground, the recreation ground, is just the same, is it? The supporters. Thanks very much. The supporters are right on top of you.
Yeah, they're right on top of us, but they haven't quite got the same call, have they? You know, it's Bath.
With an R or without. Okay, Richard, I'll hold it there for the moment. Well, the players and all the various officials have been out on the turf there. Bob Humphries is pitch side. He's with a couple of very prominent members of both clubs.
Well, Mike Ruddock, is last week's narrow wing going to count for much here today in the league?
We enjoyed the win. It was a very difficult game. Both sides worked hard. 2 quality teams, and I guess second time around now, we both know each other's game. We'll all have done our homework, and it should be a cracking game again.
Some say that Swansea don't travel well in the league. Is that a bit of a myth or what?
Good game up in Newport just for Christmas. I think we scored about 8 tries up there, so I think we put that one to bed all right.
Well, Dennis, I mean, you haven't lost here at Sardis Road since, what, September 1994, so it's a bit of a fortress. How have you made it like that?
By beating sides and coming out and doing our best and giving our best, and that's what they've done all the time, and we've tried to make sure that we always make it very, very difficult for sides to come here.
How do you turn around an albeit very narrow defeat last week to a win today?
We just got to go out and play like we did last week. We played with enthusiasm and we defended fairly well. The same with Swansea. It was a nip and tuck, and it's a game that could have gone either way. I suppose both of us will look at it as we have done this week and look for ways to counter-attack, and they will try and stop us, we'll try and stop them, and I'm looking forward to another good afternoon.
First against second, how important is this game for deciding where the title will go?
I think it's important to make sure that both of us really stay in the top 4. I think that's our first ambition as well. If we go into the lead or get to the top of it, that's great. But I think I'm settling on all of us at the moment to making sure that we qualify for Europe next year. That's paramount.
Finally, Mike, a lot of speculation about where you might be next year, whether it'll be with Swansea or over the Irish Sea in Leinster. What can you tell us about that?
There's been a lot of speculation, Bob, but I've got nothing to comment on at the moment.
All come out in the fullness of time.
Never know.
Well, fairly tight-lipped, isn't he? Arwel, can you expand a bit upon that? I mean, is the likelihood that Swansea going to lose Mike Ruddock?
Well, you know, he's had a word with the boys with a meeting, I think, last Monday, and you know, he put us in the picture really.
Yeah.
But you know, he's got to think of his career really,
Yes.
and his family. His wife's from Ireland, so you know, if he goes, you know, he'll go with the blessing of the Swansea crowd. But you know, hopefully he won't go really.
Major blow, though, isn't it? Major blow. If you lose a man of Mike Ruddock's standing.
I don't know, there's a cycle of these things, isn't there? Just think of Brian Ashton, who signed a 6-year deal with Ireland. That's an enormous length of time for a coach. I think 6 years is probably too long. And how long's Mike been there? It's 5 years, isn't it? And just wonder whether he just might have come full circle, come to the end of his time.
Yeah. Well, Brian Ashton's left Bath. So, what was the reaction at Bath when Brian Ashton left?
The true reaction, that's one thing about Bath, about the players. There's so many experienced and good players there that there's been a lot of turmoil within the club lately, and the Bath players don't flinch. You know, it's.
Well, Brian Ashton was just the first to go, wasn't he?
He
Since
was
then, there's been real bloodshed.
Yeah, but Brian left. He was a great thinker of the game, and he had his ideas about the game. But perhaps that wasn't the whole club's ideas of the game.
Yeah.
So when he left, it was a big shock to Bath. They didn't want him to go, but it wasn't. You know, the club can't collapse. The club was there before he was in. Sure. It's going to be there after he's gone.
The Swansea connection goes on because Tony Swift is now head honcho.
Chief executive, yeah.
Is this going to happen, Eddie? Are we going to see the football sort of turn around? Are we going to see, if the results aren't happening, are we going to see coaches leaving, players swapping?
Rather closer to home than you might imagine, I would think. Yeah, it's going to become a feature of rugby. You know, heads will roll if the results aren't there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Jack Rowell, his head was on the block yesterday, wasn't it?
Certainly was. You know, there was speculation about whether he would actually survive to the end of the afternoon. He wants to go to the end of the season and then renegotiate, but well.
Well, that's right. Okay, well, let's have a look at events that happened yesterday at Twickenham. Big Five Nations weekend, of course. We'll go to Murrayfield in a moment. But first, Twickenham, England against France, the 2 unbeaten sides in the Championship, but the match they designated as the Championship decider.